Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome back to our subject ECLE1213 Science and Technology in Early Childhood Education. For this week, we will be looking at Unit 4, which is Early Childhood Science and Technology Processes Skill. So before we go further, let's look at the learning outcome for this unit. So by the end of this lesson, you are expected to be able to first apply the 5 E's model in the planning of science lesson. Secondly, to describe what is webing and how it can be applied in designing science unit. And then third is for you to identify the 6 steps involving in planning concepts, experiences for your children. And then finally for you to be able to describe a unit plan and benefits that is linked to the development of science in early childhood learning. So in order for us to design a science experiment, the first step is we need to acknowledge what do we want the children to achieve, which is the learning outcome. So let us explore what children should gain from the science learning by looking at the process and learning content. Okay, so in early childhood science, there are 4 main things that we need to give attention to. So the first one is scientific process skill. So these are the very essential scientific process skill, which include the skill to observe, questioning, and also hypothesizing. Children basically learn how to think like a scientist. Okay, they will observe, ask questions, and make predictions. So this very foundational skill will inspire the children to investigate, to inquire about whatever is happening around them. And then secondly is the scientific concept itself. Okay, which include fundamental principle or simple ideas, basic principle like weather, gravity, plant growth, okay, and the properties of materials or the characteristic of various materials. So this concept enables children to comprehend how the world functions and appreciate the science present in their daily life. Okay, and then for them to be able to connect their experiences to real life. Okay, real life connection. So these are also an important aspect for children scientific skills. Okay, so whereby they need to be able to link all of these scientific concepts to their real life experiences. So children will link whatever they have learned to their daily experiences. These abilities to connect, okay, will enrich their learning, basically making their lesson more relevant, okay, making sense to their lesson, okay, and also engaging for them. Right? And then finally, it is very important for us to expose them with hands-on experiences. Okay, because if we expose them to all of these hands-on experiences, okay, we basically provide them with the opportunity to experimenting and also witness science in action. Okay, because we know children will learn best by doing and not just listening. Okay, so let's continue to um, the skills and development that children may be able to gain from learning science. So these are also a very, very important outcome that not only can help to enhance academic growth but also children personal development. So the first one, science learning will be able to foster for children critical thinking and also their problem solving skill. So what happened during experiment, kids will learn to analyze the information, think deeply, and then solve a problem creatively. Okay, Okay. Secondly, science learning can help children to boost their communication skill. Okay, so by discussing their ideas, explaining the concept, okay, children can become better at sharing their thoughts and also listening to others, which is a very important for teamwork and also collaboration. Moreover, science also can ignite or can spark for lifelong curiosity. Okay, so what happens when children doing science experiment? Usually, kids or children will become eager to learn. They wanted to know more about whatever that they are experimenting. Basically, everything that is happening around them. So, encouraging them to ask questions and seek answer beyond the classroom. Okay. Additionally, engaging in science activity as well can contribute to social and emotional development. Children will work in a group. Okay. So, working in a group, okay, can help children to develop their empathy, resilience, and also the ability to work well with others. Importantly, science learning can integrate STEM skills, okay, which is the science, technology, engineering, and also mathematics, which giving children a well-rounded foundation for their future learning. Another outcome is the connection with the nature. So, in science, it can help kids to appreciate and understand their environment, fostering a sense of responsibility towards our planet. Okay, and then lastly, all of these experiences can enhance a school readiness, which will prepare children for more structured learning environment as they progress in their education. So remember, okay, um, this slide is about learning content, and this following slide is about their development. Okay, so in the next step, how do we plan for the lesson, for the science lesson? So these are the key strategies that we can use. Okay, now that we know what the children should achieve, okay, so the next question, how do we plan for the lesson? So we may use several strategies. Okay, so the first one, of course, we need to determine the outcome. 5E models were being STEM activities, inquiry based learning, and also differentiation. So these are the tools that could help us to design effective lesson. Let's look at it one by one. So to make learning more effective, we must first start with their prior knowledge, okay, which will help us to tailor the lesson. Tailor lesson to build on their existing knowledge. Okay, so we may ask the children what they already know. Okay, reflecting on their prior knowledge is very important. So by understanding and building on what children already know, we can actually adjust or tailor or design the lesson to enhance their existing knowledge base. Okay, so by understanding what they have known, okay, then we can design the lesson, okay, to match with their current knowledge. So this approach not only reinforce their learning but also be able to connect what they have known and what they need to learn. Alright, therefore their lesson can be more meaningful and making sense to them. Next is creating a supportive environment. Okay, it's also very important because we know the environment is the children the teacher. So let children share idea freely. Um, they won't be able, they won't be scared to explore and also share their idea freely. So encourage children to share and learn from each other's perspective. This collaboration environment, okay, can foster for a sense of community, sense of belonging, and also ownership over their learning journey. On top of that, use a real life context, a real world scenario. Okay, to make learning meaningful, incorporate real-world context into the science lesson, which can help the student to see the relevance of their learning. Okay, so when children engage with a real-world scenario or simulation, okay, their understanding deepen. Okay, they can get a deeper understanding and they become more motivated to learn because they can make sense to whatever they have learned in class. And then finally, incorporate technology. Use technology. For example, we have simulation, video or application. Okay, so incorporate all of this technology. Okay, can be done through simulation, educational software, okay, which can enrich the children learning experience. Okay, technology can provide interactive and also a very deep experiences, okay, immersive experiences that usually not possible in a traditional classroom setting. Okay, so the third step, what skills are involved in the science, the process skill. So the process skill is basically skill that can help children to learn again how they want to learn about the world around them. Okay, so the first way is by observation. Okay, children will use their senses to gather the information. So when we talk about senses, it's basically this our senses, okay, by looking at their sight, smell, hear. Okay, so for example, okay, children may observe the leaf, okay, and they may notice that the color of the leaf changes or the shape of the leaf changes. So this is basically they are using their visual senses to observe. And then we have questioning. Okay, so when a children look at the leaf, that there are changes on the leaves, therefore they might uh, they might be curious. Okay, so they ask question. So children might ask why the leaf change color. So this is what drive the children's learning. Okay, so from there, all right, children will make guesses or prediction about what will happen. What will happen? So that is basically hypothesizing. Hypothesizing. Okay, so it's like predicting whether the leaf will change color further or not. Okay, so after that, okay, experimenting basically involve doing a test. Okay, it can be a simple test for the children to see if their guesses are correct or wrong. Okay, so this is a very fun way to learn. All right, and then after that, another skill is measuring. Okay, so measuring can be done using tools or even using um, tools or non-standard units, okay, like their hand or object, okay, to quantify their observation, okay. And then we have communication. Basically communication is the sharing what they have found. You can draw a picture or write a simple sentences, all right. So this is very important for them in order to express their idea or their findings. And then lastly, we have inferring. Okay, so inferring means that they are making conclusion based on observation and prior knowledge. Okay, based on what they have observed or what they have learned before. So this skill can help children to understand and explore the world. So these are the very important skills that children can use when they want to learn about science and technology. Okay. Now, the next step is how are we going to structure the children's lesson? So one way is by using the 5 E's model. So the 5 E's model in the planning of a science, it has 5 stages. So this is a very important. The first stage is engage and then explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. So let's look at these 5 stages one by one. So the first one we have engage. Okay, so engage means that you start by engaging the children by introducing them to a new topic. So the goal is to spark a curiosity in the student. You can ask them question to see what they have already know. Okay, so we ask them question. We want to know their prior knowledge. Okay, so we engage with them. So that's the next one is explore. Okay, explore is engagement in the experiment. So this is where students get hands-on. Okay, let them do experiment to see the science action. Okay, and then the stage is explain. Okay, so in explain, the student will talk about what they have observed during their experiment. Okay, and they will share their finding in the class lah. They will discuss their finding and observation. And then on the fourth stage is elaborate. Okay, elaborate is where um, the children will use their knowledge to solve a real world problem. Okay, and in this stage also they can explore how whatever they have test in class, okay, and relate it to the real world. Okay, so basically elaborate is the stage where they will solve problem based on their new knowledge, okay, and explore related topic or real world application. And then finally is evaluate. Evaluate is to check their understanding. Okay, so in order for us to check their understanding, we can use quizzes, discussion, or maybe reflective writing. Okay, or maybe simply ask the student, okay, what they have learned. Right, so all of these step, okay, in the stages can help to make the science lesson more interactive and fun for all of the children. So what are the benefit of this 5 A's model? Okay, so it has many benefits for the student science lesson. Okay, basically it can help the student to become active participant in their learning. Means that they need to take part in the process rather than just listening. Okay, they are participating in the science experiment, they are sharing their ideas, okay, and with this model also children will have the ability, the opportunities to learn to ask questions, to analyze data, okay, and also to make conclusion on their own. So this method, okay, not only encourage us all of the children to work together, okay, but also it can help to improve their communication skill. Remember, they'll be able to share their ideas, discuss their finding, and also articulate their understanding. Okay, they'll learn to share ideas and so on. All right, and for teachers, we can also adjust the activity to fit individual student needs or student requirement, okay? Helping them to understand scientific idea much better. So also, okay, in this 5 A's model, right, we can also use inquiry-based activities, okay, which mean students learn by asking question and investigating. So as they do this, they can be confident in scientific abilities. Okay, they are confident in their scientific abilities, will be able to grow. Okay, and then the next step, okay, how to organize ideas across a subject. Okay, so we may use webbing, okay, webbing design, which is a very helpful tools that we can use in the classroom to organize the ideas. So it's like making a mind map, okay, where we put down all of our thought and we connect them visually. Okay, so what do we have to do here first? We can help the student to basically sketch out the idea lah. Okay, so using this webbing, okay, can help student not only they be able to visualize the idea, but also it helps the student to be creative. Okay, they can use all their drawing colors to show what they mean. So this makes learning more fun and engaging for them. Also, webbing can also encourage the children to collaborate, work together. Okay, they can share their ideas, think critically, creatively about different concepts. Okay, so by doing this in this way, they can understand the subject better. Okay, and then lastly, writing also can start with a main idea. Okay, or theme. All right, and then from there, we expand it. Okay, we branch it out to a related topic. So by doing this, this can help a student or the children to see how everything is connected to one another. Okay, giving them a deeper understanding on a central concept ataupun a main idea. Alright. Um, in a webbing, okay, in a webbing design, uh, basically we know that webbing can help us to organize our idea visually. So what are we going to have in the webbing? Okay, basically we need to have the main theme or the topic that we are going to discuss or learn in science lesson. So main theme or the topic is basically the big idea that everything else will be expand from the main idea. Okay, that everything else will be connected to. Okay, so from there we will break it down or expand it more into subtopic. Okay, there a subtopic is basically a smaller ideas that is connected to the theme. Okay, so by doing or expanding this subtopic help us to understand the main theme better. And then finally, we can use visual elements such as including colors or drawings or symbols, okay, whereby it can help to make the visual easier to understand and to see the connection and also help us to remember the information. So by using these components of main themes to sub themes, okay, we can create a clear and engaging webbing design. Okay, makes the learning more fun and also help us to think in a more creative and new way. Okay, so what are the benefits of using webbing design? Alright, again, as I mentioned just now, webbing design can help the student to think creatively by showing their idea visually, okay, in a visual way. Alright, secondly, it may also encourage teamwork. Okay, so students will have to work together, share their ideas, and learn from each other in designing their web, in designing the webbing. Okay, and also it can improve for children reasoning skill. Okay, they learn how different ideas are related to one another. Okay, how a different concept related to one another. Okay, which can help to make it easier for them to understand new information to what they have already know. Okay, webbing design also support for inquiry-based learning where students will explore and ask questions. Plus, it can also help to boost children language skills as they articulate their thought. Okay, it helps to enhance the children language skills. Okay, because the students or the children have to express their idea clearly. So overall, webbing design is can become a very good tool to help the children to learn in engaging and also effective way. Okay. All right. So these here are some of the webbing design that you can view by yourself, and also in class later on you may do this activity, okay, together with your friends and lecturer. Okay. So in this activity, don't forget to use the 5 E's model and see how each of the stage may be able to explain about this activity. Okay, and then finally, you will need to work in your group to design a lesson plan, and don't forget to apply all of the slides that all of the skills and knowledge that we have gone through in the previous slide, which is acknowledging or emphasis on the learning outcome, what are the process skills, applying the 5 E's model, and also designing the webbing. Okay, so that will be all for our unit for this time. I shall be seeing you all again on our next unit. So just a quick recap. Okay, to summarize the whole lesson, remember, okay, before we start any lesson, okay, we need to decide what the children should learn, okay, plan how to teach, use the science processes skill. Don't forget to structure the lesson using the 5 E's and help children to connect their learning using the webbing and also apply in real activity. Okay, so if you be able to follow this, then you will be able to design a complete and effective science lesson. So that will be all for our unit this time. See you again. Thank you for listening. Assalamualaikum. Bye.